Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the transfer portrait, coloring activity right here, and basically that most of us see right here. This right here is like a portrait right here of me that I was working on in art class, and basically that you see right here is that I went ahead and use like you see is the charcoal pencil, to go ahead and draw as like that the parts right here of like say my glasses, and of course like the egg shape of say my face, and then by between symmetric, and then along it's like it's like the talk about is like the following the parents are knowing about how to talk about it's like showing the cast shadows, and then in and aroundness and stuff like that, and capturing say the light and the darkness, but other than that, it's like talk about it's like the for the transfer though, that if we were to do sketches like this, and I can remember whenever I was a kid that I can remember that I would do it was not by charcoal pencil, if I can remember right, it was just a pen or pencil or something like that that I was using, and I can remember that it was in this building. Apparently that I spent maybe about 20 minutes to maybe close to an hour drawing some drawing. I think it was around Halloween, if I can remember right. Yeah, it was around probably around middle of October, right around because I can remember that it was on a piece of a paper, kind of like this, not really sketch paper, but it was paper like this that I can remember drawing like pumpkins, and then of course a witch costume and stuff like that, and along with a few other things that were related to like Halloween events, like the Black Cat or something like that, but anyway, that you have is that I can remember in this building I would be drawing a few things, and then I would there would be like say a copy machine, and with this scanner here that kind of reminds me of like I say the copier that I can remember that. Over at this building that they would have it to where that besides a few of these buttons right here, but I can remember that if you were to like say with the scanner though, it's like say based on like what you call like the scanner. Based on us talking about right here is like with the scanner. If most of us talk about if we were to be doing like say a transfer copy of something such as if it's a portrait, or if it's any kind of copy of any document it is. What you say is you open it, you lift up the lid right here. It's like lift up the compartment for the scanner. You face it right down here on the glass, and basically anybody that may say that if we were to be buying a scanner, knowing about from which direction it needs to be positioned just to scan it, and we could probably say that maybe look about that, and we could maybe try to maybe crop it to use like say it's a horizontal type mode right here. Is that if we were to place it down on the glass, not like this, not like faced up, because they say it with most scanners that if we can see right here with most scanners that that you have it to where if you were to place it with it facing upwards, and then that the scanner would more likely go ahead and catch the reverse side of the page, and more likely won't show up very well. So you would face it flat down on the glass at about like this, but then you would do like say for like a vertical type of way, and knowing about that it's like if it's vertical, horizontal and vertical, and to where that this glass right here, it looks like to me that it would be measured at about 10 by 5 or so inches length and width, and if you were to place it flat on the glass and close the lid right there, and if you were to work the controls such as for scan, I can go ahead and select scan here, and knowing about for scan for photo JPEG, and basically that and I ask you to go ahead and confirm the scan, that just like allowing my computer here to go ahead and recognize the device that I'm using here, but and then from there, and it goes by, it's like it says connecting to computer. But other than that, we can see right here that it's starting to scan, and if we can kind of see that with the photo though, that with just like these lights here, and then like just like a copy machine, an actual copy machine though, that I'm like, usually they say that you're supposed to have the lid closed while it's scanning, but I'm having it open here because this is just like a practice right here, a practice exercise. But with the scanner though, that it would actually show, it's like right here, you say on my computer here, and you know, it's like I talk about in my kid. This is just a practice here, but knowing about it, if I can go ahead and work it out here. As you can see, that I went ahead and worked it out to where that that right here is like a photo right here, and basically though that if we can see that you know, from how I went ahead and you know, it's like you scan right here, and right here from where that, you know, the lid was open, that there was like say a part right here to where that it was kind of, you know, like what you call, you know, the page ended at about, you know, right there. It is at about right here. About right here, that we can see that the page ended about right here, and it goes by like you say this other part right here of the scan, that they say that where the page ends, and basically that you know, for the most part, if we were to be scanning something such as if it's artwork or anything like that, is to know about that you have right here are these like what you call these you see converter, you see holes right here, is that I guess you can call them that what these you know, these hole sockets is that knowing about from the page, from where that, you know, outer, you say from where that the page lining was torn, you know, just to be able to take the page out of the sketchbook and just to be able to sketch it. And they say that usually that there's a way that you can go ahead and crop that out of the picture just for it to look more like, say, like a portrait. But other than that, like I talk about right here, I talk, say, is like, say, for the scan portrait, and I want to say for the transfer portrait. Like with anybody that may wonder, though, that a lot of times that I'm like, at the time, you know, that with most of the time, if we were to be doing any type of copying, any type of jobs like talk about, it's like, you know, for copying something. I can remember whenever I was a kid, though, that it's like that if I can remember right, that this reminds me of copy machines besides elevators and escalators, the things that like talking about, yeah, going up and down the elevator was another story. But other than that, I talk about here is a copy machine. And for whatever reason, though, that I can look at this as like kind of like a copying machine, because it's like an all-in-one office jet right here, that where you can do like say copying and scanning, and then you know, duplicates you know, like on an actual paper here, and then there's a way that of course I can do that. You say electronically, you say based on my computer system here, but I can remember whenever I was a kid that there was a copy machine, maybe about a little bit, you know, bigger than this, that a lot of times that I would want to place my hand at right here on the copy machine. It's like I would want to place my hand at about right here. Like I would want to place my hand at about right here on the glass of the copy machine. And a lot of times anybody may say, I'm like, yeah, that yeah, if you want to place your hand on the copy machine, and then you have right here are the lights right here, and I can go ahead and it's like you know, go ahead and try that to where go ahead and scan, and anybody that may say, I'm like, yeah, that if I can go ahead and work right here using you say with my right hand, and go ahead and turn that scanner on, and then you know, allow the computer to recognize the device here. It's like you got, you know, just for the computer's, you know, scanner to recognize, you know, be recognizing by the computer. But see, you're connected to the computer, yeah, and then you have these this, you know, I don't know what it would more like a copy, but you have, if we look real closely here, there's like these, it's like a laser, say, being, and knowing about with most scanners, though, that if they use like what you call, besides pixels, is knowing about the type of technology that's in the copier. And I can be pull that, I'm like, talk about, yeah, exactly, what did it copy? I'm like, that if there's nothing on the glass, that more likely it's not going to really copy anything. Yep, it's just dark, you know. So if anybody who would be experiencing any technical difficulties with it, you know, to transfer, say, if they're be scanning anything, and more likely though that you know, it's possible that it could be you know, something that's going on, that if you were to, you know, if they would be copying, like if there was nothing face down on the glass, then it's possible that that, you know, it's could be something going on maybe with with, I don't know if it's like a bulb or anything like that, or maybe a scanner valve. I don't know all the accessory replacement repairs related to a scanner though, but so far my story goes is that I would place my hand right here on the glass and then allow it's like the scanner though. I'm like anybody say that with having my own scanner, I can I'm like you want to put your face down. I'm not gonna. Yeah, the only type of fun maybe I'm going to have with the scanner here, if I can go ahead and select scan right here. The only fun more likely I'm going to have with the scanner is maybe if I would go ahead and put my hand down on the scanner here, go ahead and select on my PC here on my computer is to go ahead and scan, and then from here go ahead and put my hand right here, and then to allow it to where that I don't know how well it's going to come out, but I did this one time on the copier though, that a lot of times, like with anybody that may say, I'm like that normally though that with most scanners that try not to do anything that more likely they could maybe damage the surface of the scanner, because with most of them that they do run up in pretty expensive pricing, and I'm talking about that don't put anything that weighs 2 or 3 pounds or 15 ounces or something like that on the glass, because basically what they're designed for. But anyway, that you have right there is my hand right there, and I can show people. Here's my hand right here, and we could probably see though that it comes out. I'm like that. I can remember I tried this, and then on the copy machine that I used several years ago, that they had it to where that it would come out in like a black and white toner type of print. So with my hand face down on the glass, that we can probably see that really that it's like compared to this to like an actual photograph, that we may see some things, of course, that don't look kind of odd compared to an actual scanner. That if most of us I don't know if most of us can really see though that try to rotate this right here. I'm like see here, rotate that since I'm not really waving, it's just face down on the glass here, but anyway that's my hand right there, and we can see right here that from where my fingertips right here were touching the glass, and from the palm of my hand, and it looks almost like a photograph. And anybody probably say about compare the scanner to the actual picture though. But I guess the whole part you're not really supposed to you're supposed to keep like a scanner, like I say, in position to where that you're scanning photographs. But I can remember that the copy machine that I can remember that. I asked for some copies of my artwork. What was the reason? Just because I'm like, that if I do a copy of some artwork, and anybody probably say, but if my parents would have bought me my own copier those couple years ago, that more likely that there would be maybe some embarrassing parts about what I used to do, such as anything else that I want to make copies of, maybe besides my schoolwork. I'm thinking though that I don't know if it would have been anything about me, my new glasses, or I'm like anything that more likely that you would want to make a copy of, such as besides maybe your birth certificate. If anybody probably say about maybe that's anything that is related to maybe the ruined greeting card or something like that, but anything that more likely that we would like to scan and copy, and having your own stuff, such as a scanner though, if you wanted to transfer anything such as a portrait or anything like that, of knowing about that, really that is that I would probably say that it needs to be reasonable and of course appropriate, knowing about for what you're doing. And I could tell anybody here that that whenever I was young, that I guess you do some odd things whenever you're young, but on your hand, that I can go ahead and zoom right here to make this even larger. But anyway, but you have right here is like example right here of like I scan my hand right here, and basically that I'm like that It came out all right, but on the other hand, but knowing about say the type of technology that's in say is for the scanner though. But Arnett, I talk about here is like say for the work between like on your computer and of course say using a scanner. And we may think though, whenever we do scan our images though, as you see right here, is that this is a PDF file. I went ahead and scan right here. Like and then it says right here for like unrated, and of course with the file type it is. But we begin to wonder though that why is it that most scanners appear like this, to where it says scan 0070 JPG, and I'm thinking though that they say that I guess it's like a temporary file whenever you scan it until you give it like say if you rename it to a certain name it is, that's basically what the file is. But so far as talking about, for like, JPG, it's like the prints, you say colorings right here, I have right here, or like, two examples that I was working on, say in the classroom though. And if there's any way that maybe I can, maybe convert these, to like, say, 2-in-1, like, if I want to go ahead and do JPG, maybe work on like on Photoshop or anything like that. But knowing about that, I used to always think though that a lot of the work that I did in the classroom that if people really liked it, then they would just hide it, take it, put it somewhere, and they say that I haven't seen it, but I really just think though I'm like ways of how to share your work, and knowing about if people want to make copies of it or maybe transform it into like say a certain project assignments, such as working on Photoshop, stuff like that. But kind of like what I've been doing here is that you see right here is that knowing about that with it, these two portraits though, is that knowing about one, of course it may look like me a little younger, and of course a little older in the future, something like that. But like say with the clean the glass though, that like on the scanner right here, if most of us after we use a scanner, that they usually say is to don't use like one of these these rough towels or anything like that just to clean the glass. Usually it's like a smooth towel like this right here, to where to wipe the surface down after it's used, because depending on if there's a lot of dirt and particles and stuff that form on the scanner, is to go ahead and wipe it clean like that. And I used water. I went ahead and moisturized this cloth right here in water, and basically that they probably say that use like say a normal like a certain kind of glass cleaner. I'm sure that there's probably several different kinds of cleaners you can buy just to go ahead and clean the surface of the glass, and then of course on the top too right here if you want to go ahead and wipe the top down. And I'm sure with most instructions to most scanners that they would say that is to to try whenever if you're going to be cleaning the glass is to use like say a normal type of cloth it is, other than like what you call one of those old scratched up torn rags or something like that, just to clean the glass. But anyway, that I can remember whenever I was a kid, knowing about the things that I did whenever I was young, is that knowing about a copier, because I was real big on electronics whenever I was young. I can tell anybody here that I was real big on electronics, and on the for the most part is to know that really that you're not really being charged for each copy, so more likely you may do about maybe 20, do a few practice. But then on the other hand too, it will fill up some memory, of course, on the hard drive, you say on your computer as well, from where it's being transferred to, and just knowing about that, the whole purpose about having your own copier is knowing about that, if you're not that type of person who wants to mess with all the buttons and switches and then connector jacks or anything like that, like knowing about that more likely though that whenever I was a kid, I wanted to have something like this, to use for, like, say, hobby. I bought it, for hobby reasons. But then, after I found out that I was going to be using it, if it was for job and then for class reasons, I was like, really? Like, because whenever I bought this, I was just like, I bought the scanner right here, and I only bought it because my printer had given out on me. I had to buy a new printer, and then I seen this kind right here, and it had all these other features like the faxing, and then of course is the printing and copying. And then I was like, I don't really need all this, but it may come in some use one of these days. So that one of these days that let's just say if there's like a photo printer and a printer all in one or something like that, then I may say I'm like it's especially if it's going to be right around the price of maybe $200 or $300, or at the most, if anything, maybe less than 200, a few bucks, something like that. That more likely they say that if you were to buy something like this, knowing about for a pretty good price, and anybody that may say, I'm like, yeah, what are you gonna do with all that? But on your hand too, that knowing about, yeah, find some way to keep you busy with what you got. But on the other hand too, that knowing about stuff like this, whenever I used whenever I was a kid, though, like talking about that if I would have had something like this whenever I was a kid, it was possible that it could have maybe broken. I could have maybe broke it by accident, or possibly spent maybe a little bit too much time with it. My parents would have probably told me that you really need to concentrate on your on your test. You really had to read the books, just to study for the finals or for the assignment coming up next week, stuff like that. So anybody probably say about a scanner. A scanner is not a toy. It may seem like something that you want to play with and just kind of see about what does this do, what does that do, etc., etc. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that really, that the only it's not even the cleaning solution is a toy, but on the other hand, that what is really considered what you call this playful. So far, knowing about what is considered playfulness about it, and on the other hand too, what does JPEG and I think 0070 point JPG file usually mean? And basically, they usually say that after you work a sketch, after you go ahead and scan the sketch, and then go ahead and upload it to your computer, to the device that you have it the scanner connected to, along with say photographing something. And basically that they usually mean by that a lot of times, if most of us have seen our scans before, that you see that one of them could be like say scan 0061 and 0, that if you do a multiple amount of scans within a certain order, that they may go by 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, and 68, and 69, and then 70. And basically, though, that they usually say that some scanners that say by JPG, or some of them that could be labeled like say from if it for the name brand of your scanner, and they usually say that until you go ahead and pull up the file and then change which rename it, and anybody that probably say that that's just like say a temporary file until if you want to go ahead and assign it, you say a permanent name, or just a maintenance say type name, and if it's on the assignment, or if it's anything that's related to anything important. And like with anybody that may say that if there's any type of technology to where after you scan something, then it automatically reads, it's like you say the file name, it's automatically copied, and you say for your set transfer, stuff like that. And know about the type of technology that we have, and anybody probably say about the future of scanning, though. The future of scanning that possibly is not going to be like what you call on this, on a paper like this. It's more likely they're going to probably say that they have it to where that it's going to be like a piece of paper kind of like this, maybe what you call it, maybe a paper mini, where that basically that they have it to where that the way it works is that if you were to hold it, kind of like this right here, the paper mini, and then you'd be looking at an actual screen. And they may say it works quite different compared to the actual paper. Instead of using trees on the paper, that basically that you're going to be working with, like these I guess if it's pixels, you're going to be working with these electronic spread documents, spreadsheet, it's like documents, and basically they're like kind of like thumbnails. And I don't know how far technology is going to go, but to the point where people probably say that every day it seems like it's more and more complicated, confusing, to where people are like, they just want to sit it down, relax, watch TV, do the old stuff for a while until they get used to it. But the one fun part about it is knowing about, one part the easy ways, of course, of how we can learn about how to use the new stuff. And like with anybody, that back whenever I was a kid, that having my own copier brings back a lot of memories and knowing about the things that maybe I wanted to copy. And I think one of these days I was like thinking about, if I get a job one of these days where I would actually make money, what would that be? And it was never using a copy machine, and I'm thinking though that would have probably been something maybe I would have been good at, but then of course was cleaning. One of my first jobs, of course, was cleaning, and of course doing other sorts of chores around the house. But other than that, one of them was cleaning. But let's just say that if one of these days, if I were to get a job, and anybody probably say that do you know how to work this, and then you can maybe tell them the story too. That it seems like anything that I buy for hobby reasons, it winds up being like say some sort of career. But knowing about that the things that we may think that we call playfulness, of knowing about maybe the different interesting things that we can learn with using, it's like just to do the job you say for the priorities, and knowing about if it's between our taxes and of course our assignments and of course work related or anything that's related to anything that besides that could be done like say electronically, and knowing about the interesting things that we can learn. I talk of say with playfulness, I talk of say for the transfer portrait, say stuff I say color activity. Talk about right here is like for you to transfer portrait. If most of us have had time to look at the instruction manual here, of basically that you have right here are these these series right here. If you have right here is like the item type photo, and then all here is a resolution the DPI, and then the entire scan area and JPG those type of things, and then the source of use the document feeder if loaded, and knowing about the single-sided or the two-sided. And then you have right here these document to email, and of course document to file, OSCR, and then the document to file, and then the photo email, the photo to file, and then the document TIF. And a lot of times though that I could probably say that since I have like an all-in-one office scanner here, of knowing about anybody that may say, I'm like, yeah, that a number of things that you may not have heard of or you probably don't even need, and that knowing about you have access to them really right at your own fingertips. That if you were to actually study, have like a study guide to where you actually look on your system that you're using, if it's like a mobile device or anything like that, and knowing about exactly about that what you have access to, knowing about how to work it, and your document to file. But it's like for the PDF file settings, and like anybody that may say, I'm like that for anything that you may say that, I'm like, if it's done on paper, if you actually were to do something on paper, and knowing about kind of amazing about what you can do just by that, if you want to share some of your work with other people online, or if it's on the web, or if it's anything to do with sending somebody a copy of something, that more likely that it can be done by a scanner. And knowing about some people that may say that they bought a scanner just because if it was for class or business reasons, or if it was anything to do with it, they had some old photos that they wanted to scan and copy, or if there was a few assignments that they wanted to scan and copy. And anybody that may say that, like on paper though, that there is only so much you can do on paper, I guess I guess that is true in some way, but then knowing about that there may be a different ways of how to describe it too. But knowing about with the scanner though, that just like anything that you do buy besides a webcam, or if it's anything to do with a copier, stuff that you like to play around with, that after you buy something, anybody probably say about it, it's maybe easier to buy it than it is just to go ahead and set it up on your computer, on your desktop, or anywhere else, and then the next thing you know that you see all these other options right here, such as for the menus, and of course print, scan, and fax, and all this other stuff. Like talk about the portrait, the portrait dialogue, or anything like that. But just knowing about that, if this is like what you call is like both your hobby room and the classroom, of knowing about that if I would have had something like this whenever I was a kid, then just like a television set, and after you get cable TV, that you're going to spend maybe about a couple of hours to maybe about 5 hours total on it, checking out the different channels, especially whenever they announce the HD or anything like that. But knowing about the types of things that's available, and anybody that may say about it that there ain't no excuse to why you haven't done your homework, why you haven't done your work, because there's plenty of options of how it could be done, especially if you have access to a photo printer, or if it's a scanner, or if it's a fax machine, or if it's a printer, that you have plenty of options given to you. But just knowing about that, really, that anybody will maybe say that looking at the directions. And some people that may say that knowing about about working with like a amount of time that you have studying, like say a manual, or just spending time with something, such as if part of your assignment is like what you call maybe typing up something on Word, or if it's making a copy of something. And like with anybody that may say that back nearly a few years ago, if they would have had access to a number of these things, such as if there was anything to do with scanning, copying, and maybe printing, especially if they had access to it at home. And I can tell anybody here that I have one here at home, and I could say that I like it. Like anybody that may say that the only time that they would maybe hate something, and maybe if it stops working or if it gives them too much problems, but on the other hand, that the only thing the only way that maybe that they would love it is maybe if it works just fine and it matches with 100% for what you want to see. But on the other hand, that knowing about what these different things, and knowing about between how to clean the scanner, and then working with whatever that you want to copy. And like with anybody that may say, I'm like, hey, I'm like, that's just something that's going to take quite a bit, a few minutes of your time, and just knowing about that, try not to lose track of time for anything else that you need to do. But top I say is to keep track of time for how long it takes just to scan something, is about how long it takes more likely is to do a few of the other steps. But other than that, like talk about say so far, the transfer, portraits, like talk about say the culling, and talk say the copying activity.